Hi, my friends and family. My name's Trey, and today I've got a video talk I made for you called The Transpersonal Deity and the Solipsist Demiurge. This video is all about the original creator, self-differentiation, and adding concepts from what's known as transpersonal psychology, and of course, the archons, Chief Demiurge, or Lucifer's solipsistic narcissism, where no souls can exist, let alone live. Words of Gods. Impressions is the name of the song I just played there, and John Coltrane, and the transpersonal deity and the solipsist demiurge. This video is about the original creator, human self-differentiation, or as Carl Jung, or as it's called in psychology, transpersonal psychology, and the archons, Chief Demiurgic, or Lucifer's solipsistic narcissism, where no souls can exist, yet let alone live. I'm going biblical on a moon day in July 2024, folks. Whose words will you believe? Will you remain in the death grip of Lucifer's tightening control freak advice, or hear the words of freedom erupting softly from within your higher heart? Softly, softly melting away the fake-ass character armor, as Wilhelm Reich called it. Salvationism is a kind of capitalistic Hinayana in reverse, with no responsibility. Instead of being responsible for your own enlightenment, all you got to do is believe. It is let it all go and let God take it all back. All your energy. Be live in the body of Christ, nailed to the package, or Christmas present of the human nailed to the cross of materialism, which is you. The mindless, lazy, obedient salvationist. Whoever watches this that's a salvationist, there's not very many. They'll unsubscribe usually. Give it all to your masters and be saved. Aren't Christians deeply thoughtful? Or you, the orthodox people of the word, with all kinds of special words and commands, the chosen ones. Are your words actually good and healthy, or black magic cube spells? Well, are you orthodox, or my Semitic friends holding steadfastly with me on the semantic words of truth? That's right. Are you one of the chosen ones on the side of freedom, or are you just doing what you're told? My Astro.com horoscope said today I was not going to want to be in the, presenting, or that I was going to have to take care of myself. I'm doing my laundry, and that basically I wouldn't be in the headspace to present to the public. Yet I have wrung out my wet heart and soul after bathing in warm, beautiful Atlantic waters and hot springs for weeks now. Enough times lately to be unable to forget the facts. I looked at I looked in Wikipedia for a definition, and as happens with some subjects that they don't know much about, or they don't want to tell you that part or whatever. But as an infiltrated source full of deceptions, they skirted the core essence. Okay? So let me say what I feel about watching a few videos. Now, this is intuitive. I'm not saying I know what I'm talking about here. I'm very much in the preschool or kindergarten on this topic. I haven't really studied it much, but from looking at Maslow and Groff, and I actually read most of Groff's or some of his autobiography, very fascinating, in the schools of psychology called Transpersonal Psycho-logy. My impression is they imply or base their concepts on the obvious. For example, I exist because I serve you. Like when Yeshua said, when two or more are gathered in my name, I am there. What did that mean? What did he mean by that? Well, it's also the basis for every black magic spell, every mind control. There has to be an operator and someone to control, right? So transpersonal psychology basically is saying that, like, this whole idea that Lucifer and the mainstream, the basic mainstream psychology had, is that we're all these individual guys, is not well, I mean, it takes two to tango. It's just, it's the obvious. Transpersonal psychology is like, probably ought to be first grade psychology school, the obvious that I exist because I serve you in this case. It is a school of thought taking the obvious into consideration. It takes two to tango, reproduce, it takes two to kiss life into existence. Again, as someone with serious health issues, having duked it out with shaman's diseases like cancers and blood diseases almost 30 years now, still under my bloodkin's family roof, visiting my annual habit or ritual. It is understandable that only the truly open-minded are listening or watching these videos. Many think I've given away all of this gnosis and wisdom on all these videos for free. But I was already on the golden handcuff program. The truth is, within clear discernment, anyone could see the Matrix as a dealer take all rigged game. Henry Miller, who was a Capricorn, kind of created existentialist novels, I think. He made me think, I could write big fat books too, because he just wrote the way stuff like this, similar to my videos, but it's a little more compelling than me, or maybe a lot more. So the truth is, within clear discernment, anyone could see the Matrix is a dealer take all rigged game. And if you're not in the club, or if you disagree with the politic, then what happens? And who is still lame enough to play? That's the, I applaud. I mean, right as Geraldine is reading this compliment, I said that you were an awesome help with my shadow work. All of a sudden, now, I'm not trying to the hubris or the narcissistic spirit within me trying to, is going to try to, the archon is trying to make me take credit for this. No. I'm just saying that the fact that she's gentle and kind and loving enough to be speaking my name, and then $50 she got a super chat. So just look at all the work she's done. She really deserved that. She ought to get 2 of those each time. I mean, plus you think of the cost of living in the Bay Area. So there's people who have done it, man. I'm telling you, the people, the artists, the musicians, the healers, the shamans, the psychologists, the people who've cracked into who figured out how to make a financial living, who don't want to farm or hunt or fish, who figured out how to do it without taking care of chickens. Bless them, man. They figured it out. But Not very many folks out there who've been able to do that. And so if I'm getting paid by PayPal and I say something that PT really doesn't like, how much am I going to get paid? If I ask if Yahweh is a predatory, narcissistic entity from a tent, how much love will the alphabet beast that at that point had a CEO who was Ashkenazi allow me? Yeshua said, whoever has come to know the world has discovered a carcass. And whoever has discovered a carcass, of that person, the world is not worthy. I love the scripture. It's from the Gospel of Thomas. I finished this notebook with some Thomas. So after 5 days in the ER several years back here, 2021, and healing 15 broken bones in 6 months, a year later, I began my show in this room here, and I knew my second chance wasn't gonna be just about the little me. I know I am not this healthy and sickened, mutated, cancerous, and nanotech encrusted spike protein. I'm not even, I got to take the D-dimer test or some other test to find out if I'm clear of it. But this compromised divine thing, this unplugged divinity avatar, I know I am not this healthy and ensickened, divine and rotten flesh suit required to eat other animals, or at least their eggs and milk, to be healthy. Forced to consume cholesterol as Lucifer unplugged, or the Demiurge, or whatever word you want to call him, Yaldabaoth. Lucifer unplugged most of our DNA, tried to appoint it as, of course he gave his devout followers in the scientism death cult, the terminology. It's junk DNA, atmospheric rivers. This is the only way that the Dark Lord can be creative, is creative types of destruction and killings. So he unplugged most of our DNA, tried to appoint it as useless junk, and hybridize this with his vampiric Syrian wolf-like, kind of wolf humanoid DNA, when God, the bad uncle, basically, not God the father, God the fake father, the junior God, the bad uncle, made us into his, or half uncle, made us into his sick image, or tried to, and unfortunately succeeded with in far too many occurrences. And that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this, because we want to spread awareness of the truth. The words of the gods. The word of God is not found only in the Holy Bible, yet the Holy Bible does still contain the words of inspiration from the true Spirit of Christ. For example, in Matthew 4:4, Jesus answered, "It is written." I find it very interesting that I underscored written, that they said that it says written. Because again, a lot of mind control, a lot of people's brains. One of the many reasons why I don't have a larger following is because I don't flash a lot of words on the screen. Some people they need to see words to learn. I forgot what it's called, visual learning. So Jesus answered, "It is written, man shall not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of God." Now, if you're a really discerning person, if you're really into etymology, or if you're a really great New Testament or Bible thumper scholar, or Gnostic wisdom scholar like myself, you'll think, not to say I'm great, but that I studied Gnostic wisdom, that you'll think, what does that mean? Every word that comes from the mouth of God. Well, when you realize that we are made in the image of the Most High, the sacred Christos, Christ Sophia, it means that, you know what? Everything you say has, every word is power. And so, the Almighty Christ Sophia not only gave us free will, which is amazing enough as it is, amazingly beyond, we can't imagine how amazing it is if we really have free will unless we have it. But the gift of speech, what I'm doing now, creation, to not only to reproduce, but to make art, to make books and poems and inventions. And so every word that comes from the mouth of God, that's all, that's, and it could be the archons, it could be the inverted form, the parasite form that's corrupting it. But because the truth be known is that a lot of people say, or the people that really know say that the Dark Lords are afraid of us, our power, and that's why they have to try to use hidden tactics to control and pervert us. So in the wonderful book, The Three Halves of Inno Moxo, Caesar Calvo lucidly states, and he was on ayahuasca throughout writing that whole book, and he's the national poet of Peru also at the time. And I would say he deserved that title if he wanted it, because I got to get another copy of that book. I couldn't find the quote, so I'm going to make an awkward, probably shitty interpretation of what he said. But he said in a much more succinct way. Sorry, I don't have the exact quote, but it's something like, "The speaker of words is the doer of magic," or something like that. So basically, all words spoken are thoughts. Thoughts are things. Words are putting a sound into although it's very affirmic, etheric, very temporary. I just speak. When you say spelling, when you say that the meteorologist gives you, I love, my friend David Bliss turned me on to this 20 years ago, but I love phonetic, breakdowns of words. And my friend Little Creek Walker, he taught me about mirroring, where you can find out by flipping the words the opposite. So my Mercury and Mars retrograde in my birth chart, that seems like a natural thing to look at too. So you can learn a lot just by studying phonetics. So, all words, all thoughts are things, and words are spelling. Okay? Especially if you write it out. And so that's why they call it fortune spelling, meteorologist, fortune, what do they call it? Weather spellcast. And since the main satellite, from my understanding, I might be wrong, comes from NASA, or I could call it NAZI, never a straight answer. Seems like they want to terrify me sometimes when I'm checking the forecast. It'll say rain. Forecast, that's the word. Forecast. Okay, forecast, that's fortune telling. Okay, so in my experiential knowledge is, unless you're talking about the next 30 minutes, they're liable to get it wrong for some reason, unless they just obey the script of the people who dump things, the geoengineers. So every single thing you say to someone else, or you're even inside your own head, is a spell. And I realized when I was a little boy, probably when I first got into Castaneda, maybe, I don't know, but somewhere between the age of 8 or 9 and 16, I realized that, you're either if you're in a human body, you're either a good magician and aware of it, or a bad black magician because you're unaware of it, because everything we do to others, we're doing to ourselves. So it's you got to be morally retarded to want to harm others. If from my perspective, even as a young boy, after having had so many of these flesh suits and had all my memories wiped so many times, I was able to remember a little bit. Like I was a musician in a past life. I loved to snort cocaine in either the life before this one or the one before that. So I wouldn't even let myself try it in this life. I was like, no, but I got my cold brew right here. So this is as close as I came to it in this life. So every thought and especially spoken word can contain great magic. So the transpersonal deity idea is that God wanted to grow, expand. You know, this is what we've heard from the Christians, right? I was raised Presbyterian, Bible thumperism, so God wanted to grow, expand, love, and awareness. So I would say she incarnated as us. Okay, that like having a human child, we can only learn, grow, and expand and flourish together. Like a little kid can't hunt its own meat or fish its own fish and grow its own fruits and vegetables and get its own fresh water and keep its own self safe from wolves and all the other predator animals. So it's far more vulnerable than even any kind of four-legged animals. They just plop right out. But it takes us longer. It took me a long time to learn how to walk. So every human needs, a village. That's one thing Clinton was right about. But the way that she, of course, thinks about it has got to be inverted. So we can only learn, grow, expand, and flourish together. Whereas the modern Luciferians responded to Stanislav Grof with this twisted notion. Oh, so we're going to admit it takes two to tango, and that it's not all in the individual, and that not everyone's going to buy into the box idea because you're using all this LSD on people and to find out this information. Okay. Well, so their response to Groff was this twisted notion: AI, humanoid, slave, robot, transhumanism. The narcissistic psychopath's idea of immortal vampirism. Okay? Oh, you're gonna admit transpersonal psychology is probably, the obvious truth. Well, we got a good response to that. We'll just create the humans in our image in the AI form, where they can just give us energy forever. And the narcissistic psychopath's idea of immortal vampirism equals sucking your energy forever, as you are the Hell-Eats robot slaves. No need for the forced memory wipe. We'll just upload your fragmented humanoid fractured souls into another AI humanoid form. Man, you won't even have to have all the childhood trauma. No need for another no need for another AI humanoid form. No need for another messy childhood. So you'd think the self-imposed inferior controllers had scared me or intimidated me into stopping after all these notebooks I filled, all this work I put into these videos. Or you think I'm, part of the shadow work I haven't done is not being willing to accept one of these middlemen agents who want me to pay them hundreds of dollars to get my audience back from the shadow realms. Well, I put this out, I'm going to make another video about how the algorithm repays me for this. It's a lighter video, but anyway, so many of you out there that watch these, you'd think that the self-imposed inferior controllers had scared me or intimidated me or made me feel too depressed to keep doing this, or intimidated me into stopping with the shadow band. But I recognize the dark side's greatest strength is, as morally retarded as they are, they never give up, and they do have massive invisible controls over most public things if they can. So understand why I still post talks purely out of the love of attempting to serve you in your awakening. I am that I am. Okay? The burning bush might have said that, but it's true. Lucifer had to say a lot of true things. Adolf Hitler, they all had to say true things mixed in with lies to get their killing sprees, to get their loose. Okay? Send me money if you like, but know this is a highly controlled public Wi-Fi space, and I might not get. If you try to send me money, even I don't even know about buy me a coffee. That hasn't worked out. I'm just saying that, just like the shadow ban, there's a good chance that they have some kind of, monetary shadow ban on me. So unless I figure out some kind of independent source that's not going to be, run by these billionaire guys, I'll let you know. I'll put a link when I figure that out. So understand why I still post talks, purely out of the love of attempting to serve you in your awakening. And this is a highly controlled public Wi-Fi space, and I might not get it, as shadow bans are designed to discourage and rebuild the depression. But flunk you, Lucifer, for I know a little bit about the truth. In narcissistic personality disordered people blindly obeying the voices of the false self, the totally unreal voice of Lucifer or the archons, they assume that they are you, the imperial black hole where nobody gets to individuate. Nobody really gets free will, as Earth is just a permanent human slave farm, loose factory, a permanent trauma bond to your ferocious, powerful mind control tactics and second Bardo crocodile endless archon feeding frenzy. Okay? But put the mainstream media, the ancient sacred text of vampire junior god verse, Lucifer, you could never speak the words. Lucifer, the truth is, Lucifer, you could never speak the words of God as you turned away from your mother and your brother and you began this experiment of tyranny and blood, vampirism, and forcing us to consume cholesterol, however many millions of years ago that was. You can invert, pervert, and insist in coercing the majority of humans to put up with and even gaslight themselves into embodying your sick black hole narcissism. But your black magic cube tech is getting exposed gradually for what it is. Even if the mainstream only allows Chinese water drip style disclosure, super gradually, or watch my videos if you want it faster, folks. But here it is, okay? Every single word you or I say, everything we do, and every thought is a thing, especially if you speak it and or act on it. Those are the power of the words of gods. Okay? Whether you're a junior god, whether you're a fucking idiot who just obeys the voices that tell you to harm yourself or others, a fake predator god, or someone who is actually only going to be in compliance with the respectful divine voice who gave you free will. Okay? Those are still the power of the words of gods incarnate, whatever they are. Okay? Whatever they are, what impressions are your words making? If you think that the archons on Lucifer's Radio 666 is your own voice, you are not accepting the truth of the porosity of mind. The mind is porous. You are losing. Speak the truth to all. Speak words of love to remember her majesty, the divine Christ Sophia within. It truly all comes back to haunt or bless you, every word you say. Because the Demiurge is a great 3D builder who is a morally retarded solipsist coward god. And the Christ Sophia is a divine being that did choose to give us all free will originally, and the amazing power to speak the almighty word of Christ into this planet, into your etheric atmosphere. And she does and do that magic, and she does encourage heterosexual coupling that's ordained, not the fake coupling, but when you purify, when you're ready, what's called divine hierogamy, sacred marriage, as it is the most overt, organic way to the divine, respectful Ouroboros of her great expanding oneness. Before all the mind control began, the perversions and inversions, taking the sacred 12 chakra tree of life and putting it into the 10, the inversion, making it all about sex. Okay. When the tree of life was on the 3, people would reproduce. Before they drug the moon over, they said women would only menstruate maybe a couple times a year, and they would intentionally have children with divine, sacred marriage, so that the child would inherently, not like we've seen with the advent, since they forced the human race to use these damn things, the vast majority of people, we've seen the IQ points go down 20 points, not like that, like the exact opposite of what we've seen in the last several decades. You know, humankind back in the day, before Lucifer's rebellion, humankind would naturally choose sacred coupling to evolve. Okay? So that was the most overt, organic way to the divine, respectful Ouroboros of her great expanding oneness, you know, because we're all the same thing. That when people would reproduce, it would grow, that love, the power, through the sexual force, the kundalini, the kundalini snake, the tantric mastery, you know, or the divine Taoist practice, intentional reproduction. Intentional tantric couplings, and perhaps you could say like the Abbott family in Santa Cruz there, that they had a ministry, a Taoist ministry, and they'd play bluegrass barefoot on the pavement, and you know, and their sons had children, and perhaps they did it intentionally, you know. Intentional tantric couplings and intentional reproduction are vast worlds apart from most of us in our current hijacked, targeted, possibly often alien love bite couples, imbued with massive, often most of the time with massive sexual misery programming, because we grew up within all this mind control. Now, even if the woman doesn't believe the women's elimination movement, that she should piss on her man and talk about how all masculinity is garbage and all that, even then, you know, because she was raped by whoever, and all these different scenarios of trauma that we were exposed to as children, the vast majority, unfortunately, at least around the USA here, you have massive sexually misery programming, as Lisa Renee calls it. The fake ass, and also the fake ass monetization of love, which is always going to be a factor, doesn't help. And the bad boys, the big bad money boys, always go in there and try to ruin relationships like that, and often succeed. Learn agape love before sexual coupling. If you're a single person right now, like me, you really have to know, if you don't have the oneness, flunk you, screw you. You're going to fuck it up. You're going to lose. You know why? Because you're a sucker and a loser. If you don't have any agape love, then you don't deserve to reproduce or have a girlfriend or boyfriend. Screw you. You need to have respect for all people. And then the person you find is going to be way cooler anyways, man. They're not going to be one of these loser solipsist, narcissist, or non-player characters. Okay? Learn agape love before sexual coupling if you're single. For in the end, you must learn to see the one is truly in us all. The great Christ really is in us all. And the world doesn't need any more of these suckers who just have their head up their own ass. Okay? There's enough of them. I remember myself in service to y'all. When I make these videos it helps me to be myself more. It's not less. Even if it's shadow banned, even if I serve 5 people, or 3 people, it helps me to be myself more. It's, as a Pisces moon and rising, I always really resonated with Sly Stone, a sun sign Pisces, his song, "Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself Again." Because when you're a Pisces, it's just how it is, and like it or not, because you've had so many lifetimes in the fucking matrix, you know that you'll feel yourself. Finally, you'll break out of the fake-ass loneliness when you're connecting. So in the age of Aquarius, it's pretty way more blatant and obvious. And as the divine being, I guess he was, Nikola Tesla, gave this invention of Wi-Fi to the planet Earth in the year 1893 as a gift. Because he knew that he could see this in his mind. I can't fathom how he invented this. But he knew that giving this gift to humanity would allow us to communicate and to create this age of enlightenment through the gadget. So no matter how much the dark side thinks they're going to do what they did in China and manipulate it, and it's just not going to work. This is USA, folks. Yeshua said, if your leaders tell you, look, the kingdom is in heaven, then the birds of heaven will proceed will precede you. If they say to you, it's in the sea, then the fish will precede you. But the kingdom of heaven is inside you, and it is outside you. When you know yourselves, then you will be known, and you will understand that you are children of the living Father, the real and true divine masculine. It's not abusive and violent, is the sacred Christ, Yeshua, or Jesus, protection of the queendom, the protection of Her Majesty in harmlessness, if at all possible. But if you do not know yourselves, then you dwell in poverty, and you are poverty. I am abundance in spirit, whether ascetic or spoiled, entitled, white narcissistic Freemason son in an illegal campsite or in this legal box. Okay? Whether I have any money or food or not, I am rich in spirit when I am able to share the gnosis of the divine wisdom. And that's the fundamental essence of why I do this now. If you feel the desire to donate money, then send it to my coffee cup, my digital coffee cup, and let's see if it works. And if you want to hear me speak about more gnarly things that I can't talk about on YouTube, then check me out on Odyssey or Rumble. And if at all possible, my family, if you have the courage, create a great day.